What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with
Kendra Jennison.
Yes. It is us coming at you again. Pew, 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 pew. Was those your guns?
Those are my guns.
Those are wimpy guns.
I have better guns.
Do it again.
I'm not doing it again.
What are you going to get with those?
Those are my mini pistols.
Those are mini pistols? Oh, my God. Speaking of mini pistols, I saw those little guns that you got Phoenix for his
costume.
Those
perfect.
were cute. I'm sure they'll get broke before Halloween.
Definitely.
So today I just wanted to talk about this. I got a pounding headache. That's not what we're here to talk about. I don't know why, but I've probably got to go to the chiropractor in a little bit. Which brings me to the conversation that I wanted to talk about inside of life, which is on that board over there, which is commitment.
Mm-hmm. I see it.
You see it
very clearly.
What do you think about that?
Think about the word in general?
Just in general.
What do I think about the word?
Because the reason it was staring right at me, I'm like, what am I going to talk about today? Because I go off of call to call and do what I'm doing. But the word commitment is heavy in everything that's going on right now in my life.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very prevalent. I really like what comes out of having a strong commitment to something. I love the outcome of that. Yeah. I guess that's kind of like where my brain went first.
So why I want to bring that up was because I think that what happens inside of life, because I walked in the conversation that you and Ryan were having talking about just don't eat.
Yeah.
Right. Or not. That was not. That's
we're
not
talking about caloric deficits.
We're talking about caloric deficit and just not eating and eating less and doing these things, which we're on an alcohol podcast, but commitment shows up in everything. And the reason that I wanted to bring commitment on this conversation was because I believe the commitment is actually the root of all failure.
Sure. Interesting. Explain.
So I believe that, well, it'd be lack of commitment, right?
Lack of commitment. Yes.
But like, I want just the word commitment. That's all I want this topic to be called. I believe that men, women, and even to children to some degree, it's a learned behavior where we just had a guy on a call. I attended my Monday call, which I normally don't do. But I attended the call and I jumped on there and he was talking about how his dad, he had to be in his 50s, 60 years old, maybe. I don't know how old exactly he was. But he was talking about how his dad used to hold him accountable, right? His dad held him accountable. Here he is. He's a successful guy, business owner. He's like, I have nobody to hold me accountable. Like my dad was the one that hold me accountable. And I'm like, thought about it from like my standpoint, because all I know is accountability.
Yeah.
Right. Like all I know is how to hold me accountable. But the reality is actually hold Phoenix accountable. I hold you accountable. Like everyone inside of the world is held accountable by me, but why? And I was thinking for me is because there's one word that's super important to me, which is commitment. Once I start on something, I don't stop.
That is definitely true of you.
It's deeper than commitment. It's obsessive.
You are very obsessive.
And we'll use the word
you do.
Addicted.
Yeah.
Obsession, addiction, commitment. They all run hand in hand. But why I wanted to bring that up was because, and I want to get your take on, you can talk about relationship, you can talk about fitness and lack thereof commitment, but
sure.
When I was looking at it right now, for why I believe dudes go start, stop, like they know exactly what the fuck to do when it comes to drinking.
Just don't drink.
Just don't drink, or just do the work that got you to this place.
Yep.
Like we lay out a path. Like even if it's not my way, I'm not so like. I guess egotistical. I mean, maybe some people think I have an ego, but I'm not so egotistical to the point where I think that my way is the only way. I've never said that. Yeah. But I also believe that if your path and your path that you go as a man or woman to choose to take back control of alcohol is going to require the same action and the same emotion as me or AA or NA or sober recovery or God or whatever. You need commitment.
100%. You know, I love that. And I agree that the I Am a Comeback way is not the only way. But your way that you created, I'm a Comeback, is definitely the best way. And I say that because I know, as if you know, I mean, you're
it's the best way for who it's for.
You are living proof. Obviously, I mean, you created it for this exact reason, but you've gone through Celebrate Recoveries, just like many of these other people have. And if I'm not mistaken, because I've never been, but I've heard, stories from you and such others. It's a very just one day at a time, I believe, is like there. One day, just don't think of drinking. Just commit one day at a time and just, you'll be fine, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's AA,
well, I'm not downsizing that. Like if that works for somebody, then great. Then I'm glad that that's somebody and it's helped you. But what makes yours, your way, the I'm a comeback way, so extraordinary, in my opinion, is that it forces people to think way further out than just one day. You're committed to your future. You're committed to this. You're committed. So it's not just, oh, okay, I just got to stay in my lane just one day at a time. Like, it's no, I'm doing this for a greater purpose. My commitment to myself and to my future and to my kids and to my wife is greater than just one fucking day at a time. Right. And so I think that is huge and I love it because it's so much easier, in my opinion, to stay on track when I know my greater outcome. I'm working on a greater outcome. It's like, it's not just one day.
Well, I feel like why I'll let you have that, right? You say that mine's the best or ours is the best, and in my opinion, it's the best for who it's for, and the reason why it's designed, at least under my reign, if you will. Yeah. Is because for business owners and executives, because they understand commitment and they understand like deadlines and commitment and goals and stuff like that.
Delayed gratification in some ways. Yeah.
Not that everyone can't learn that, but they seem to get it a little bit quicker. But the truth is this, I look at life and it's an interesting thing because you can only live life one day at a time, no matter who you are.
That's true.
Right. Mm-hmm. But so I would use that saying if it wasn't their saying, I would say, well, one day at a time, but not in a way of negative, one day at a time of fucking absolute maximization. Power, yeah. So what are you committed? There's a million micro commitments and convictions and just obsessions inside of it to win that day. So if I look at 24 hours, I mean, you've seen me in action. I shut down this weekend. Like I go and I go and I go and I go and I go. Like I'm not just committed to just getting through the day and white knuckling and not drinking and counting it a win, man. I'm like, how do I fucking do 900 things in one day that I want?
And that is also a massive part of it. The one day, and I guess that's what I meant by it's not just because in one day as a comeback and the processes and everything that goes into place, I'm like, holy shit, you do more in the 2 hours that you're awake before I even get up with the comeback process than I've ever known in any other program.
I'll be doing more and more while people are sleeping than they'll do all day.
Yeah, exactly. And I just absolutely love that because the commitment and the focus and the determination that you have from going forward, maximize today, and you do. That's what you have trained trained people to do. Is that a good word?
I'll come and talk about that for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't train them to do anything. I've never asked anybody to switch anything about themselves.
No.
I just asked them to change what they're committed to.
Yes.
Right? You're committed to drinking and fucking up your life. You're committed to drugs. You're committed to lying. You're committed to cheating. You're committed to overeating. You're committed to being lazy. You're committed to being lethargic. You're committed to being complacent. But yet, for some of those guys, and I just use like negative things, but some guys are so committed to like, I'm going out to drink. I'm getting fucked up. Right? Yeah. I just heard a guy say that right on the call. I'm all in. I only ask you to switch what you're all in on and turn that into yourself. One of the things we say inside of the community or the comeback is that basically, I don't want you to change anything about who you are, just where you are.
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And what I mean is where you are inside of your skin, where you are inside of your choices, where you are inside of your decisions. But I wanted to talk about commitment a little bit more on a level because I believe that since this is a relationship podcast as well, that commitment is the underlying, like it's the cause of failure. If you lack commitment, right, it's either the cause of success or the cause of failure. There's nothing more important than commitment. I
agree.
I mean, I think I shouldn't say that. I think they all matter to some degree.
It's definitely up there.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't committed to the relationship, we wouldn't be where we're at.
That's true.
If I wasn't committed to being healthy, like right now, I have to take these medicines. Went out to the doctor and my cholesterol numbers are not great. And they said I'd be dead by 60 or 65 years old if we didn't find this thing. So I'm fortunate enough that I've worked my ass off to be able to get preventative medical care, right? And then it's expensive as fuck and got a private concierge doctor, but look what it's going to do. It's going to buy time on my life. If I wouldn't have been so committed to like you, I wouldn't have done it, honestly, had I not had you and the kids.
Sure.
I would just work and work and work and work. I'll talk again about commitment. I probably said this on the last thing. When they told me, I'm glad we found this or you would be dead in 20, 25 years, my immediate thought was, how do I do 60 years worth of work in 5 years, 10 years. Like that. It wasn't like, oh shit, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking committed. But I wanted to talk about that because we're committed in a relationship, committed in our health, committed inside of here. Why do you think people lack commitment? Is there anything in your life that you feel like you could improve commitment or that you lack?
You know, at the top of my head, I can't say I lack anything. Because the things that are most important to me, I don't lack in. I don't lack in commitment to the relationship. I don't lack in commitment to my health and fitness. I don't lack in commitment to my children, nurturing and taking care of them. So off the top of my head, no, the most important things to me personally, I don't feel like I lack commitment in anything, which is awesome feeling. But I know that's not true for most people.
How did you get to that point?
Yeah.
Because it's not built in a household.
No.
Right? Like your brothers are not, I don't know how Jeff was. He was very committed. I mean, pretty committed guy.
Committed to fitness, right? At least.
Committed to fitness and probably the army and all the stuff that he did. I mean, it sounds like everything he did, he was a winner.
He was.
Or at least, all in on it. But if you look at your other siblings, you guys all raised in the same house, but lack commitment.
And it's interesting that you say that. I think it boils down to,
I wonder if you
have to question what's important to you.
I was going to ask or say like a different meaning in commitment.
Yeah.
Different definition per person.
100% that's true, I would say. But I really think that once I got with you and you kind of opened me up to, hey, how do you feel about this? One thing that I learned from you and I'm so grateful for is question everything. Mm-hmm. And I remember specifically when we were in our first house together, and remember when I built out the gym downstairs and I had a treadmill in there.
I forgot about that gym.
Yeah. And I was just first getting into self-development and I was so impressed. And I remember thinking to myself, I just want to get to a spot in my life where I question everything. Because before I was just walking through life oh, this is how it's supposed to be. This is just how it goes. And I just accepted everything. But every single thing in your life, you're just oh, you questioned it. How can it be better? I was so floored by the thought of, oh, wow, I can have the ability to question things. This doesn't have to be set in stone this way. So once you presented me with that, I just slowly started to question everything. Okay, for example, what's important to me? How can I do better at this? What does it even look like? What does that mean for me? Once I got there, things got really clear to me. Things got really amazing. I got really focused. And maybe to, the things that, and I stress that it's important to me because I'm sure there's other commitments to other people that are okay, well, that's not important to me, but I'm committed in this area or in this area, right? But I guess that's what's interesting about it.
When I look at commitment, I'm just thinking as we're talking about, I guess I didn't really realize how important the word was to me until it was staring right at me.
Yeah.
In this topic, in this conversation, because I'm questioning, where in my life do I lack commitment? And then because I do question everything, it's interesting because inside of commitment, there's a real close cousin there called discipline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Once you have the commitment and you make a choice and you pivot and make a decision to lock in on what it is, the commitment doesn't waver, but the discipline does.
Sure.
And the discipline are the daily actions that stop you from continuing doing what you're committed to. For instance, right? I wouldn't say I'm on a fitness journey right now. I would just say that I've changed some things inside of my diet to live longer. Mm-hmm. So I guess it could be a fitness journey, right? Sure. But I committed to I committed to being around a lot longer, committed to being healthy, committed to being optimizing my health more than dropping weight and being shredded. Yet the byproduct of the commitment and focusing on that is the fact that I'm getting leaned out and shredded in a fast rate, right? But then once you feel that thing and you look at the commitment, you commit to it inside of my daily functions, there's many, many micro commitments that are actually called discipline.
Yep.
So then I go back to my question is if commitment is actually, or lack of commitment is the number one culprit of failure, the lack of commitment is actually fueled by your inability to have a disciplined life.
I would say that is accurate.
Which is why people are fat as fuck. It's why they don't ever hit their success. It's why they let go of their lives. It's why they drink. Yep. I've even said this inside of the Comeback Council. Like, your discipline, you're not disciplined in the wrong way. Or you're not disciplined, like, it's not that you don't have discipline. You're just disciplined in the wrong way. You're just doing the wrong shit. You're just doing the wrong shit.
Yep.
What do you think your discipline's like right now?
In fitness, health and wellness, health and fitness.
Life.
Maxed. I would say
Could you give more, you think?
Can always give more, I feel like.
Yeah.
If I'm being truthful, yes, I feel like I could always give more. But I also get to a spot for me where I also has to make sense for me mentally.
Talk about that, because that's that's probably very powerful for women and even dudes here out there, but being committed to your mental health, because that's something that I will let.
You'll let that slide every time.
Yeah.
You are so addicted and so disciplined and so obsessed that you get so hyper focused on one thing, and you will let so many things slip and slide and fail. I'm talking in like health terms right now, because you are just like, this is all I see and this is where I'm going, and I'm not fucking stopping until I get there. Now for me,
mentally, I'll still do the work. I'll still lift weights. I'll still eat the food. I'll still,
I'm just talking about
mental clarity.
I'm talking about like whatever it is you hyper fixate, and where you would let your mental health or things declined, because in your brain you're just like, no, the greater outcome is what I'm focusing on. So like, I'm not digging around with all these things that are like, when you broke out in rashes and hives that one time, and you're just like, yeah, but my fucking goal is this. And I'm like, we should probably slow down. Like, let's take care of your health right now. Anyways, but for me, I love that I'm disciplined, and I love that even on the days where I don't feel like doing things, that I still get it done. But I also I have a lot of grace with myself. And I know that, hey, listen, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. I'm allowed my body and listening to myself to take days off. I'm allowed to, and so I think it's imperative for me specifically, yes, be disciplined, have massive commitment, because that is what drives me. It's what makes me excited to wake up in the morning knowing I get to do these things for a greater reason. But not every day is going to be awesome. Not every day am I going to feel peppy and jolly and amazing and yeah, let's go do this, because that's just, I'm human, So having grace with myself is huge for me. And a lot of that just comes down to mental. Like if I'm tired, me, if I'm tired.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you go take a nap.
I go to sleep.
What do I do when I'm tired?
Oh my gosh, you're just like, give me 4 more cups of coffee. I got to pound this out. and
Is that true?
Kinda. And, but in a lot of ways, I'm envious of you in the best ways and like the nicest ways, that you are just have that massive straight line commitment. I do worry about you sometimes, and I know you know that, especially when it comes to your health, because I'm like, maybe we should just like, hey, this doesn't have to get done. This 3-year project doesn't have to get done tomorrow, Mark. Like, let's just chill, And I really think that it's important to be committed. It's important to take all those to maximize each day, right? To take all those micro choices in a day. Be committed, be disciplined. Start being committed and disciplined in the right ways, right? So maybe, and it truly, for me, has been a life worth waking up for, showing up for myself and for my kids and for you. And sometimes people need a greater reason than themselves. I know you did, right?
Yeah,
a long time ago. And so even on the days where I don't feel like working out, or I don't feel like playing Uno on the floor with the kids or whatever it is, I tell myself they deserve a mom.
Well, they got
like this.
Those kids got plenty.
You deserve a wife that looks good. You deserve a wife that is mentally clear and happy. And so even on the days where I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like doing this for me, because it's easy for me to be like, just go to sleep, And
Sure.
and I do. If I'm tired, I do. But on the days where I need a little bit extra, I remind myself that no, I have a family that deserves the best version of me. not the secondhand version of me, you know?
When you were talking, I was thinking about, it's been a while since I read the book, but it was Relentless by Tim Grover. And it's, I think cooler, closer, and cleaner are the three different, it is cooler, closer, cleaner. But cleaner is like a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or someone that's like the best at what it is. And there's this feeling that they have of like when they're doing it, like, fuck, I could have done more.
Sure.
I never, ever, ever am satisfied with my commitment or what we've done. Which always, even when I'm winning, I can't see a win because I feel like we are not winning on the degree that I should be winning.
Yeah. You're like, it could be better. I should be better. There's always something I'm missing. Yep.
It's just not just better. We're not big enough. We're not fast enough. We're not strong enough. Yep. We're not loud enough. We're not. And it can get to a place where it talked about commitment, where you're so committed on that place that you can run down I don't know many cleaners.
Either.
I don't really. I know myself. I know a handful of other guys in business, maybe Ken, right?
Yeah.
Same way. Like all the guys, I shouldn't say, I probably got 5-6 guys that are multi-millionaire and billionaires in businesses that like, you don't just get to that place by being lucky. You get to that place by being fucking ruthlessly committed and convicted that without a shadow of a doubt, you're going somewhere.
Yep.
Every day of my life, we'll go back to that, like what started off as a drink, of stopping drinking on July 27, 2015 has shifted. And you're right. It was for Phoenix, right? That's what kept me. And it's you and it's this movement. It's this thing. And I keep adding commitments to my table, my team, you know, it gets bigger and it gets bigger and bigger. But I look at myself right now and I'm like, man, really everything about me, my whole life has led to this point to where like I ask it, what are you really, really fucking committed to? So there's someone out there that's drinking right now today. And they're thinking about being better. They're thinking about making it, but what they're really committed to is the drink.
Yep.
And they're actually not even committed to, they're committed to the drink, but they're actually like committed to a story of why they need the drink, or that they can't let go of the drink, or how hard the drink is, or they need to go back, or whatever these fucking things are. So going back to commitment and discipline, it's all literally won or lost in between the ears. Nothing that I do or nothing that we do or nothing that you do or nothing that anybody does is an actually external thing. It's all internal. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. So inside of a relationship, what do you think, inside a relationship and fitness, what do you think are some tips that women, we'll talk specifically to some women, to some wives, right? What are some things they could do to have better commitment, better discipline in their relationships and their family's relationship with their husband who's maybe struggled with drinking or got control of drinking? Because a lot of people that listen to this are guys that stop drinking and then they have their wives listen and they're starting to cascade the future and do that stuff. And then they're also looking to get in shape. I hear that a lot, right? So dude's on fire, they start recommitting to each other, then they want to start working out together. So I'll let you share that.
As far as fitness side, you have to want to be committed, first of all, is a big deal. You know, you have to look at yourself, which is really hard to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes when you've let yourself go and be like, shit, I really have lack of commitment to myself when it comes to being healthy and what it means to be healthy. Tell that story
of when you put on the, I don't know the exact story, but I know the story, like you were in Germany and were young, you were in the army or whatever.
Yep.
And you went shopping with your friends.
Yep. Oh my gosh. It's a funny story. So military, young, 18, living in Germany. I'd always been, as far as I knew, a size small to medium and large, depending on where it's coming from, right? Women's clothes are crazy. Anyways, always wore my military uniform, baggy shirt, baggy pants, whatever. It was just my uniform. So Germany, partied a lot, partied crazy till 4 or 5 in the morning. You ate garbage, just living my crazy life out in Germany in my younger days. Went shopping with my buddies, pulled smalls and mediums off the rack, like, yeah, going shopping, went to the dressing room, none of it fit. And I was like, well, what the hell? And I applaud myself for one reason and one reason only. And then I've always loved my body. I've never looked at my body and been like, oh, disgusting. Like, oh, I've gained weight. I'm grateful to have always had a really positive image of myself, right? Where so many women can fixate and they can pick apart and they look at themselves every day in the mirror. They weigh themselves every day and they're just like, ugh, I'm disgusting and I'm nasty. Like I never did that.
Sure.
I was just like, I love my body. I'm really good at athlete, whatever. I never fixated on that, right? So I'm proud of myself for that. However, in this situation, if I would have paid attention to myself a little bit more and maybe looked at my body, and I would have been like, holy shit, girl, you changed a little bit here.
You'd be looking thick.
That freshman 15 was a real thing for me when I was in the military. You know, of course I wasn't a freshman, but I was. Anyways, the lack of commitment that I had, and I had no clarity. I had no clarity. I had no goals for myself. And I wish I would have known at 18, God, what an amazing thing that would have been if I would have been like, hey, what are your goals in fitness? You know, instead of just partying and waking up. And those were my goals. And that's what I was committed to. Anyways, that forever changed the trajectory of my life, and not in such a negative way. It was in a more positive way. Even though I looked at myself and I was trying on these smalls and these mediums that were very snug and didn't fit where typically they would have fit, I was like, okay, I was lacking commitment here. What am I lacking in? I need to watch my food. I need to quit drinking and partying so much. Did I do any of that? No, I did not. It wasn't until I went to Afghanistan and had nothing but time and commitment into the gym and to focus on that. There was no drinking. There was no partying. There was no commitment. It was forced commitment. And I thank God every day for that, even though, you know, given the circumstances were a little shady. Anyways, you have to get clarity. You have to be honest with yourself, just like I had to be honest with myself. But I was also really, really graceful with myself, because I looked at myself and I was like, you know what? Okay. Yes, this is not the Kendra that we know. This is not healthy. This is not, well, we can change this. And so I started to. And that's really, really what it takes, is to be able to look at yourself, be honest with yourself. This is where I'm lacking commitment. This is where I need to pick up on the commitment.
That's good.
And you need to go for it. Because the truth is, especially in today's world, it's really easy to get distracted and to lack commitment in certain things, because everybody around you is doing the same thing, is overweight and unhealthy. And so you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just fitting right in. You think it's normal, and it's not normal, because it's unhealthy.
Sure.
People have no idea how good they're designed to feel, how much clarity that are designed to see every day. It's so clouded.
It's sad.
It is sad. People have no idea that you're not supposed to wake up every day with a cloudy brain or fog brain.
But I think they know that. I think it just becomes over time.
I don't think they know that.
I think from the time they're a baby.
I think that people are so used to feeling like shit.
I guess you could define, we could do another podcast on this, but define cloudy. I mean, wake up, put tech shit, put information in your
There's
mind.
a lot of things that go into it.
It's food, it could be information, drugs, alcohol.
Yeah. And
fighting.
There's a lot of things. And there's a lot of things that go into that. And it's not just, you know, the energies, like you said, negative and positivity, like that affects in going into the relationship, being in a committed relationship, or are you half-assed in a relationship? Because that doesn't lie either. That's heavy, and that's negative, and that's, you know, people feel that too.
That was the whole, that was really good. I think that message you said for men or women. I mean, I have the exact opposite. I look in the mirror every day, and I feel I got body dysmorphia. So I look in the mirror, I'm like, you look like shit.
Yeah.
Like I need the constant reassurance. The mirror lies to me.
Yeah.
They say the mirror doesn't lie. Well, the mirror lies to me because I can't see what it is what you see.
And body dysmorphia is, we don't need to go down that line, but it's a really real thing. You know, social media plays a huge part in that. The angles, the fitness models, everybody just is like shredded. And so you feel like, oh, and I'm not saying for any woman specifically out there that you need to be some lean, mean, petite, tiny little thing. Like, hey, maybe your man doesn't like that. But for you is who you should be healthy for. That doesn't mean you have to be 120 pounds. But you should be doing the things like exercising every day for yourself, for your mental health.
That's actually kids. That's actually what we say in the fitness app, right? You don't have to be, and it's dudes, right? So you don't have to be the next Arnold, but you have to slow down enough each day to work on yourself so that you don't die early. That's really what I believe is the most important piece for the fitness app for the men, right? Slow down, take care of yourself, read, take care of your mind, weaponize your body, walk, put good food, good fuel in it. But I'm going to touch base before we got to jump off here and head to the chiropractor. When we first started dating, you know, my commitment, the word commitment was, I've always been committed to something, right? But like inside of a relationship, I didn't really understand what the word meant, right?
Yeah.
Not from even just a cheating standpoint. It just didn't make sense to me because everything I learned, everything I saw, everyone I knew was like, hey, you don't need to just
Half-ass.
right? Just whatever, half-ass. Like this is how it works. And watched a ton of cheating growing up, and just you see these things all day. It's like, well, this is our relationships are meant to be like, they don't matter.
Yeah.
Right? They really don't matter. But then I remember that the one thing that I did, well, it's not the one thing I did. One choice was that I cannot hurt you. I'm not willing to hurt these girls, not willing to hurt this boy. I'm not willing to hurt you. Right? There was 4 other people also involved. And at first there was a question inside, which you've heard me talk about, is like, can I actually pull this off?
Yeah.
And I had to get like right with myself. And that's about a relationship. So I'm going to leave this for the men that are out there, or the women out there that think about drinking, is like, can you actually pull this off?
Yeah.
Can you actually do what you said you're going to do? Do you actually want to be better than you were? Or are you just being a fucking victim and allowing yourself the ease and the convenience of lying to yourself?
Yep.
Because I'd done it all. I could justify who I was by looking at how weak I fucking was, by saying that's not for me, by walking away from what I wanted. Yet at the same time, I could be completely ruthlessly obsessed with fucking up and destroying my life and every single thing at the same time, all with the same question is, what do you want? Who do you want to become? How do you want to show up? Any other parting words for these guys before we leave today?
Yeah, commitment for sure. Discipline. You can get really clear on what that means and what that looks like for you.
It's going to change your life.
It's going to change.
And I think and I'll leave something with it too. You don't have to do it all in one day, right? Just pick one thing. Just one thing. Just be committed to this one thing. Maybe it's not lying for the day. Maybe it's not eating that second portion in your fitness. Maybe it's not having that third beer. We're going to have 2. Right? I don't tell anybody they need to stop right this second. Like, I don't really matter in your choices. What I'd matter is the fact that I can put some information inside of your mind, in your ears, in your head, in your brain, when you're thinking about like, how to become a little bit better, how to become committed to me, so I could be committed to we, so that we could have it all.
I love it.
So that's it for today's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. We'll see y'all next week.